Dropped on Soccer's morning show. It's Tuesday, right? It's Tuesday. Tuesday thoughts. Soccer down here. Whatever is on your mind that we didn't touch yesterday. There's a lot of news to get into today. We'll get into it as we go this morning, and we will break down everything. Anything left over from the weekend, we've got that. Morning ropes. We did talk about Everton and 777, and we talked a little bit about that yesterday and how it could be a bit of an interesting time if the 777 sale, morning forecast, does not go through, and how it could be an interesting time when it comes to having to jettison individuals to make ends meet. So there's a lot of stuff in the Premier League to get into this morning. I was actually taking notes. There's stuff about FIFA this morning. There's stuff about stuff in the Premier League. There's a team in the lower divisions that seems to be right on the verge of getting wound up. We'll get into that. The life of Ange Postecoglou. And when Jarrett comes back, Jarrett's on vacation. He gets to stare at the sun coming up over water. And so for those of you that follow him on social media, ropes, Everton, they'll have to have a fire sale if 777 does not work out. And we got into that. We'll get into that continuous. Sam Wallace had a piece on Ange Postecoglou and about his circuitous route and what it means for him to be a part of Spurs. There's stuff with Ajax this morning. We got stuff with Chelsea. We've got the Gummy Bear Cup, I think, starts today. It's today and tomorrow. And there might be panic with Chelsea when you got owners wandering into the locker room. Okay. I don't think that probably went well with Mauricio Pochettino, but that's fine. And then other news around the planet. So whatever's on your mind, bring it to the table because that's what Tuesday Thoughts are for. And traffic later today, you'll have the USL programming up and running, USL League One weekend review, and you've got 5 teams chasing after 3 playoff spots right now. No surprise that this is how it is in League One, but that's where it is currently. So that program, the review preview will be up later today. The USL Championship review preview will be up later today. MLS Next Pro review preview will be up later today, getting you squared away for the playoffs. The pick'em for who they want to, the playoff teams want to play, the higher seeded teams, that happens today. And for those of you that may not remember, we'll go over the playoff format coming up in just a little bit. Morning, Ricky. And we will go through all of that stuff. So there's a lot of news and plus news of the AM that might have cropped up while we were not taking notes about what to talk about this morning. And opening kickoff has to do with stuff that we order online. So we get that coming up in just a little bit. Okay. Yesterday, and this is some housekeeping before we get into opening kickoff. Yesterday, you'll remember that I downloaded the wrong thing. And so here, to make up for downloading the wrong thing, here's the third goal from Yorgos Giacomakis, the real one. I swear. Courtesy of our friends at 92.9 The Game and the Odyssey app. Here's Mike and Jason on the call for an interesting moment that restored a 2-goal lead.
Piet then plays it back to Alvarez, who will go all the way back to Sirois, who's 30 yards off his line. He'll be chased by Giacomakis. Sirois starts it up to Corbo on the right side. He's under pressure from Silva, and he steals it. And here's a chip by Giacomakis. Score! Boom, Giacomakis! Have a night, Xande Silva. And Atlanta United quickly rebuilds the 2-goal lead here early in the second half. Silva, unfortunately, will be denied the assist, but he made the goal happen, no doubt about it.
Activate the sell clause the first possible second that you can. That's all I can say. Activate it, activate it, activate it. Activate the sell-on clause the second you can. Xande Silva, he's been all right. Morning, Alex. And he's been all right so far. So, activate that. That was the actual highlight. That I forgot to. I thought I was uploading something, and I uploaded the Alhamdi goal that made it 2-1 instead. So, that's the actual goal. Now, we're also having discussions. I think it was after this goal.
Where it is Almada flicking it backwards now to Abram, who sends it down the left wing to Shande Silva. Caleb Wiley overlapping. He's got it now in a 3v2 down the left wing. Wiley dribbles into the box. Here's his cross. Silva again. Keeper off his line. Silva to the end line. Cross shot. Score! Thiago Almada! Two goals in 2 minutes!
Okay, so it wasn't that one. Which one was it? All right, now I'm thoroughly confused. It might be, was it this one?
Blocked off the back of Tyler Wolff, who then dribbles out of traffic, down the far touchline, and will play a long diagonal that's going to connect. And here's a 2v1 coming down the right wing, Mosquera and Almada. Mosquera down the middle, ahead to Almada, right side of the 18. Cut back cross, Mosquera, shot, score! Atlanta United is going to the playoffs! We are so back! 9 goals in their last 2 home matches. Atlanta United knocking on the door maybe of home field advantage in the first round. They're going to take down Montreal tonight 4-1.
Okay, so now it was the first goal then.
He's repelled off the ball by Wiley. It's headed off the touchline by Broguillard, and then Wiley sombreros a four to advance it forward, and now Hosatu gives it back to him, and it's sent down the middle in front of center circle. Yakimakis driving in the head to Saba, trapped at the top of the box. Here's his cross, shot, Silva, score! Champagne football, Atlanta United to take the 1-0 lead on Shande Silva's second goal of the year.
Okay, so in all of my trying to find a particular goal call, of course, I should have just played them in sequence, and we wouldn't have had to go through all of these goals. Once again, courtesy of our friends at 92.9. 92.9, the game, the Odyssey app, and Major League Soccer. And we were trying to figure out, and this was when we were workshopping it yesterday, the music to play. And this is what I've got early, because once again, we can't run foul of the music police. For Saba, we've got this. This is the early contender for what Mike said on the first goal. I think it's under 7 seconds. Okay, so I think that's under 7 seconds. So there's that, and then the Atlanta drop from Lowell George. We'll probably, Atlanta, got to get back to you. Probably will pull that, and we'll see if that fits under 7 seconds. So I'm trying to do things to celebrate goals when we play them that don't run afoul of the more than 7 second sample rule from Luther Campbell and Two Live Crew v. the Orbison Estate. So that's where we are. That's the early thought. Abby, good morning. And hopefully everyone's fast. Who is fasting was easy and meaningful. Yes, indeed. So welcome back, Abby. So still, I'm trying to find drops as we go. So when Mike says champagne football, that was the natural way to go. I will grab Atlanta, possibly as something like that. And I might even try and pull a little BOB, but remember, it's only 7 seconds. So we don't get people mad. Okay. Now that that's settled, we got our housekeeping out of the way from Monday. Now, opening kickoff. Once again, opening kickoff brought to us by our friends at Kickoff Coffee, kickoffcoffeeco.com. There's your QR code for those of you who are watching on Twitch, and I'll block out the other QR code right there. Okay. Don't forget to use the code SoccerDownHere15. Thanks to everybody who has when it comes to Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. They, in turn, take 10% reinvested into the youth game and youth initiatives. Very, very cool stuff from our friends at Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. And thanks to everybody who's been investing and kicking off their mornings. Silly me. Kicking off their mornings with Kickoff Coffee. All right. Now, and that's the QR code for hour number 2. So I had a couple things in mind this morning for opening kickoff, but then this kind of went straight to the front of the line. How many of you out there subscribe to things online? I mean, literally do all of your paperwork online. You're just like, okay, I've got my subscription here. You can unsubscribe at any moment, all these kinds of things. How many of you, hands raised, do your subscriptions for things online? How many of you do it just like normally? phone, mail, what have you, do it the old-fashioned way, and how many of you do your subscriptions to things online and have it taken care of basically virtually every single month? It's going to be a pullout from the bank account every single month is taken care of, which reminds me, I've got to call my bank and get something squared away with something that I quit wanting interest in months ago, and they still pull the money out. It's like $20 a month, and it's really annoying. And I've been battling with this group, sending the thing back every single month. But that wasn't what I wanted to talk about. Okay, yeah, not on the phone. Sometimes on the computer, it depends. Thank you, Abby. Now, the reason I ask is I want to know if this has ever happened to you, where you subscribe to something and you get like the free month. You get the free month, and you're like, okay, then what I'll do is I will, I'll subscribe, and then what you'll do is you'll subscribe to something, and you'll go, uh, okay, 28 days in, I will, uh, I'll knock it out, and I won't worry about anything anymore. I'm just going to subscribe the one time. And 28 days into a 30-day subscription, I'll bail. Home operating through a VPN for internet connections. So had that with the AJC and the New York Times, near impossible to cancel. Ropes. This is what I'm getting to. And this was the rub here. So the boss subscribes to a particular thing, and at like the 28-day mark, she wants to like stop. And so what she does is there's a little slide bar that you click, you sit there and you go like unsubscribe, and the slide bar goes over and it registers that you're done. And so then you bail out, and it's like, okay, I've done the slide bar, and it's like, okay, everything's cool. So then she gets a notice that even as she has unsubscribed and you see the slide bar go over, she got charged again for that particular thing. So she went back in, and this is like probably 2 days past expiration date. So you get charged another month. So she does it again, does the slide bar to go from green to red. I'm done. Whoop. She got charged a third time. And so now she's to the point to where she has taken a picture of these screen. She's taken a screen cap and a picture with her phone of what she did with this particular entity to prove that she, in fact, went from green to red. Stop, I don't want this anymore. And now she's to the point to where she wants to talk to people. And the last thing you want is the boss mad at somebody wanting to talk to you about something that she did and she knows she did. And then all of a sudden, magically, the bar just kind of sits there and slides back, and you're like, no, you didn't do it. Oh, well, obviously, did you refresh your page? I'm waiting for the responses here. So it will be very, very interesting to see as I move my plug-in cord. So the rowdy man can actually come in here on his bed. And I want to know what the resolution of this is, but because you never get a Southern woman mad. And this is where we are right now. You have a Southern woman who is mad about something she did, she knows she did, and has the proof, and still getting charged for it. So I wanted to know how many of you out there run through these same things where you've done something, you've done it, and then the entity that you did it with was like, we'll just kind of slide this back to keep charging. Because I think these days, more often than not, you've got a lot of companies that may sit there and try to operate under the premise that you don't check of anything. So I just wanted to know if that happens to you, how you guys handle it, all these things. Abby says she always calls to cancel and call your credit card company and say it's a fraudulent charge. And word about the local newspaper And that's pretty much this actually happens with a lot of things. If you tell somebody that you're not interested anymore, they'll get you a deal. This has happened with us with newspapers and magazines and things that we listen to. We're like, no, we're good. And then and definitely things you read these days. And so yeah, definitely get a deal where it's like, oh, it's an $80 renewal charge. Nah, I'm not interested. Well, how about 20? That'll work. I'll do that. Just got a subscription to get a hoodie or a scarf. Okay. Just make sure that it's not the same one that they send you ropes over and over and over again. But like I said, I wanted to check and make sure that I didn't know if the boss was by herself in this kind of a thing where she's done something, she knows she's done something, and then all of a sudden magically it appears that she hasn't when she knows she did. So I just wanted to get that out there for opening kickoff this morning. So didn't know if she was by herself in this kind of stuff. And Abby, and when you stop, they keep mailing you stuff to rejoin. Was like that with her cable. Glad that she dropped them. And so all of this reminds me that I've got to talk to my bank about a particular purchase too, but I've got to talk to an actual person. So, all right. That's opening kickoff. Brought to us by our friends at Kickoff Coffee. KickoffCoffeeCO.com. And once again, as I sit here and try and obstruct the QR code for hour number 2, is that? All right. Oh, wait, there we go. There it is. That's your QR code for those of you who are watching on Twitch, on Facebook, and on the 280 character app. Thanks to everybody who has started their day with Kickoff Coffee and KickoffCoffeeCO.com. Those of you who might have kicked off your day with Kickoff Coffee and KickoffCoffeeCO.com. Don't forget to use the code SoccerDownHere15. You get 15% off your purchase. They, in turn, take 10% reinvested into youth games and youth initiatives. Very, very cool stuff from our friends at Kickoff Coffee and KickoffCoffeeCO.com. That's opening kickoff. Yeah, and I'm Abby. I'm right there with you. The personal contact for me is big. Hutch, cable TVs are hemorrhaging. Right now, they don't seem to be in any kind of deal-making mode. Well, that's on them. Abby says when you deal with a bank, go to a local branch. Loves having personal contact. So now we bring in Nick, now that I have actually sent the show link and not an episode link of randomness to Nick. Nick, when it comes to you and the boss there at Foto de Campo HQ, my question this morning in opening kickoff was, have you ever done stuff online that you swear you did, like you're ending a subscription, and you swear that you've ended it, and it keeps coming and you keep getting charged, and how do you handle it from that particular perspective? Has this ever happened to you and the doctor when it comes to dealing with things there at the Foto de Campo HQ?
Yes. Tried to cancel a couple of things, and it kept showing up. I know that my LA Fitness gym membership was one of those that it's like I followed the whole process and said essentially, look, I'm dropping this membership. I'll sign what needs to be signed. I'll do whatever. And then every time I went in, it was like the Frosty or the ice cream machine, McFlurry machine at McDonald's that never works. The same thing. Oh, the supervisor who processes that is not in today and cannot do that. Sorry. Come back tomorrow. And then, I would come back in and they'd be like, fine, sign everything. And I would still be getting charged. And so finally I went in, and this was after I got, after the workforce reduction at the company I was at, and said, look, my company had workforce reduction. I'm unemployed. I have no money. The check's going to bounce. I can't pay the power bill. Canceled a membership. And they canceled it on the spot. I didn't have to send anything in. I didn't have to sign anything. And which is hilarious because normally they try to make it go through and yeah, I mean, they say, you have to mail and fax and all that. That is not accurate. It's not true. They can cancel it right from the front desk. They just don't want to take the hit on the loss of a membership, right? Because it's all metrics now.
Mm-hmm.
And for the record, I was able to pay the power bill. I did have money in my account. The check was not going to bounce.
But still, that's what you want to say.
That's what I had to tell them. and they don't want to take the hit on the lost membership. They don't want that to be on their name, because then it's like they get called in for meetings and they say, hey, why did we lose 2 members? What did they do? Why didn't you try to save the, why didn't you try to save the membership? And here's what you could have done. Let's review. And it's more crap than they want to deal with. I don't blame them. But in the corporate world, we call that churn.
Yes.
Right. Anytime somebody drops a service, it's called churn, and churn negatively impacts your comp. Right. So any sort of compensation you have, anytime you were unsuccessful in saving an account and churn goes on your name, you have to deal with it. So most of the time, what people will do is they say, okay, I'm just going to stick this in the quote unquote queue, and someone else can handle it, and no one handles it, and it falls through the cracks. And so all you can do is you call, someone picks up, I need to talk to a manager. Okay. And then you get passed around the call center until you end up with somebody who's a quote unquote manager, and say, I need to cancel this account. I need email verification. And if they still don't do it, then you dispute the charge. You go onto your account and you dispute the charge. And then you let your card company or your bank or whoever fight that battle. But the first thing you need to do is ask for a manager. Never, ever, ever talk to the basic associate. Go to the next manager, the next tier up. It's sort of like Dante's Inferno. You got to go all the way to like the 7th ring of hell, to the superior super manager who is eating human corpses in their office, who will finally say, okay, fine, because their comp is not, their comp may be impacted by churn, but they don't have to do the whole talking to garbage, remediation BS that the regular rank and file have to go through.
Okay. Yes, like I said, that was happening with the boss, and I was just wondering if this was a common occurrence across.
Yes. And it's because the world that we live in now, everything's based on metrics, and everything is quantifiable by data. And so, and this is at least how it was where I used to work. It was, if somebody churned, management would call you in and say, why did this client churn? And you could have the most valid reason in the world. You could be like, look, implementation team screwed up. They didn't put the right devices in. The devices were never connected. The device has not been sending telemetry for the past year that the client was allegedly paying for services. Every one of the client's checks cleared. We provided zero benefit to them. Well, did you tell them we'll send implementation out to go fix it? Yes. What did they say? They told us to go F ourselves. Okay. Did you offer them like a reduced rate incident response retainer? Yes. Well, what did they say? They told me which horse to ride in on. Okay. So why can't you save this deal? And it's like, okay, let's go back to the basic, and it's Office Space all over again. It's like, I just told you why we can't save the deal. It's like, yeah, but you have to understand we're a publicly traded company. We can't just have that. Churn's really high right now. I'm like, then talk to your implementation team. Don't talk to me. I'm not the one who plugged that stupid box in. I'm the one who just took the phone call, man. Like, yeah. And so that same scenario is getting played out all over the country right now, because you have managers who are more reliant upon metrics and not on, management, and or like they're more overseers than they are guides, right? Okay. And more overseers than they are, enablers. They don't work on enablement. They work on an overseer mentality, which is it's all punitive if you don't meet these, you don't meet this basic criteria, and it's all hard, cold numbers, which is really stupid. But I don't know. Go on LinkedIn, spend 20 minutes on LinkedIn, and you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. These are the people who are trying to organize big work meetings on a Sunday night because you're quote unquote checking email anyway.
Abby's like, always keep asking for the higher level manager. And Abby went into your idea of the mailing and the faxing of documents. And Michael Valverde's son always wants a McFlurry. And there's nothing wrong with that. Reason that I wanted to bring you in, first and foremost, anything now that you've had a day plus to look back at the Atlanta-Montreal match. We do have some soccer over there that I wanted to get into you with as well this morning. But now that you've had some time to digest the goals 6, 7, 8, and 9 in the last 2 home matches for Atlanta United in a 4-1 win, what else is on your mind from the win on the weekend against Montreal with 3 matches to go?
That it played out a lot like I thought it was going to. Like as far as how we would handle the press of Montreal and how that press would sort of die off, and when that press did die in areas, it opens things up, right? The minute that 6 or 8 can't close down like they're supposed to and they don't meet their mark on time, it's a huge hole to break that press. And then Atlanta did what they really needed to do, which is work the wings, right? Because they were trying to close everything down centrally. Atlanta drew them. They invited the press centrally. And then that opened up just real estate, like big Texas real estate on the wings. And Atlanta has players now in Saba and Jean de Silva that can absolutely just explode in that space. And then it's the same thing when Mosquera's on. The touch isn't quite the same, obviously, but it really is about exploitation of space. And when Atlanta was able to do that, Montreal had no solutions. And Atlanta still has to solve for the stupid goal here or there that they kind of let in. It's just, it just happens. It's something that we just got to figure out. There's some sloppy moments. I really, really, really need the guys to stop chipping the ball backwards. Stop chipping the ball backwards. For some reason, we keep doing this, and we make our back line deal with a bouncing ball as they're having to deal with the charge of the light brigade in front of them, and that is a recipe for disaster, right? Because then you get the chip, the ping, and the shot, and then it's in the back of the net. Stop chipping the ball. Outside of that, I'm thrilled with the transition play, thrilled with the attack. This team can compete with just about anybody in Major League Soccer right now. I saw a lot of Atlanta's back. Well, maybe because Atlanta made the playoffs, which is great, but the job isn't done. You got to try to work on seeding now, so that way you can get a home game or 2. So, we just got to. But we do have to work on the chip back, and we have to work on our back passes. These are things that we have to, you need to solve now. These little knick-knack things, because, and I'm not trying to drag this out, but in the Marines, whenever we were doing the rifle range, right, you had the guys who were from like Pickin, Hee-Haw, West Virginia, and then you had like the kid from Miami who never shot an AR, like an M16 or an AR-15 in their life, or a hunting rifle in their life, and the kids from Miami or New York or DC were better than the kids from Pickin, West Virginia. And, they would ask the marksmanship instructor why. They say, okay, because you've developed bad habits, shooting Grandpappy's rifle, doing Kentucky windage. And the kids from the city are doing exactly what they were taught to do by us, not what Granddad or Uncle Bob or whoever taught them what to do, when you're hunting squirrels. So you have all these bad habits you have to undo. But under pressure, those bad habits reappear because it's what you naturally default to. The chipping crap happened at the beginning of the season when under pressure, it's this quick, you're running horizontally, you're running like parallel to the half line. the ball comes very quickly and it's ping right back, but the ball is lifted in the air, right? So it's this ball that goes 15 feet up in the air and bounces. And then we just ran on goals from that at the beginning of the year. And now under certain situations, it's happening again. And that must stop. That must stop because it doesn't allow Brad time to survey the field and make the accurate distribution. It doesn't allow Robinson. It doesn't allow Abram. It doesn't allow Wiley. It doesn't allow any of the guys to make a move that does not put the ball right back into play to the opponent. It's just like, oh my God, it's bouncing. It's going to bounce over me. Okay, I gotta drop back. I don't have time to survey. I just get it out, which is exactly what pressing teams want. They want that. Oh my God, get it out. That's what every pressing team wants you to do. So parents, whenever you're dealing with your kids on a Saturday game and inevitably in that southern drawl, you hear, get it out. That's exactly what the other team wants you to do. Stop yelling it. Get it out of there. No, stop yelling that. It's the same thing here. From 8-year-olds to pros, the pressing team wants you to get that mindset of get rid of it. Get rid of it. That's what they want you to do. Don't play into their hands. Play the ball on the damn ground so that way they can move the ball more fluidly, right? And then you make the pressing teams burn more calories, burn more oxygen, having to chase a smooth rotation of the ball as opposed to some kind of frantic ping pong crap that they feast on.
So what are they not supposed to do?
Get out of there!
Okay, I just wanted to check.
Was it Parzival who said that Parzival threatens that, I'm married to an Italian woman. Let him know that they don't want her to be the one on the other end calling. No, they don't. They don't want that heat. They don't want that fury. It's like Chernobyl on the other end of the phone. You don't want it.
To your early points, everybody's freaking out because it goes back to Brad. Hutch thinks they need to almost slow down a bit on the attacks down the wings and let the support catch up. But that's a double-edged sword, though.
It is. So when the pressing team, when they compress the field, right, when their entire back line is on your side, they don't have anyone of their back four on their side of the line, you have to take advantage of the real estate behind. And the reason being is that if in transition you outrun their back line and you have like a 3-on-2 or even a 3-on-3, the downside for them is that they're not dropping back on their terms. They're turned around. They are facing their own keeper in a dead sprint, which means that you know where you're going if you have the ball. You know, okay, I'm going to carry and then I'm going to cut in right. And this dude is like, okay, crap, I've just got to drop and I'll stop when I need to stop. You're reacting and your reaction is slower than the knowledge of the person with the ball. The person with the ball says, I'm cutting right now. The defender has to react, which means you're a half step behind, and a half step is all you need to create the space for a shot. And so I understand the idea of, slowing down. And yes, you don't need to go all gas, no brakes all game. But part of that is if we have an opportunity to do a very, to get a goal in transitional play, and that involves us turning on the jets, we have to do it. And so I will say that, there were times that Atlanta did outrun their supporting play. But that's part of what makes Atlanta so dangerous is that you have players who can quickly outrun half the universe, in an attacking manner that is very dangerous. It's not like some of the other teams where they do a break and it's like, okay, we really don't have much to worry about here. It's a completely different animal now in transition than it was before. And I have no problem with occasionally outrunning, but I will say this, if you have that opportunity where you are breaking downfield and you are outrunning all of your support, the shot either needs to be in the back of the net. If it looks like you can't do it, aim high and boot it over the goal. So that way it's not an immediate turn by the other team and they're quickly distributing the ball and it's immediately back down the field and you are in a position of, you're not quite in offense, you're not quite in defense, and there's space to exploit. So if you know you're not going to get a clean shot on goal, put the ball over and put it out for a goal kick. So that way you have opportunity to drop back into your defensive position and not allow them all the space in the world to run.
The other reason that I wanted to bring you in is for a soccer over there. And there's plenty to talk about outside of Serie A, but I wanted to bring you in because I'm gonna phrase it this way, and I know that you can get to the issue with context, and and I enjoy it when you do this. What the bleeping hell is going on at Juve?
Juve is Juve. This is something where and I think this happens more with girls than it does with guys, where all the girls say, that dude is bad news, don't date him. That dude is bad news, don't date him. Oh, you're such a hater. Oh my God, you're so jealous. Oh my, and then like a month later, it's like, oh my God, you were so right. That guy's terrible. He's a disaster zone. Why did I not listen to you? I keep telling people about Juventus. I've been telling people about Juventus since like the 90s. People just keep ignoring what I'm saying, or they think it's a joke that when I say Juventus is a completely crooked club, oh, you're a hater. You just hate Juventus. Yes, I do hate Juventus, but that doesn't change the fact that they are a crooked club. They're being investigated right now for shady agent deals. So, whenever a player signs, we'll say free transfer, right? That's the magical term. Mm-hmm. It's a free transfer. There's no such thing as a free transfer. And before anyone goes, yeah, but, no. Words are important. Words mean something.
Yes.
There is not a transfer fee associated with that player signing for you. But there are still significant bonuses that get paid out to agents whenever these deals occur. There is a fiscal liability that it gets put on to any of these deals. It is not just a free transfer.
Free.
And over time, people come to think that free transfer means player walks in, signs, it costs the team $0. Great business. But what happens is if you're a team that's cash strapped and you're moving money like a shell game, what happens is somebody will inevitably come to you and say, hey, I'm owed a certain amount of money. And you say, hey, look, I can't pay you today. I'll pay you tomorrow. It's like a Ponzi scheme.
The wimpy approach.
Yeah, I will gladly pay you Tuesday for a hamburger today. So what happens is Juve writes IOUs to these agents. A deal gets done, and Juve says, hey, even though your agent was Steve, we're going to list Bob on this as well, even though Bob didn't do anything. Bob had nothing to do with this. But what's discovered is that Bob was essentially handed an IOU from Juve. And Juve is trying to pay this out like this sort of shell game. And it's proof that they're moving money around, that they're doing this shell game with cash. And they were also using this system to pay agents that didn't have IOUs, but they just wanted to keep good relationships with. So, hey, Johnny, we haven't done business with you in a while, but look, we're going to pay you some cash, and whenever your clients come up for, come out of contract, don't let them sign with anybody else. Don't let them sign a renewal. Just come sign with us and we'll take care of you. So the agent goes back to the player and says, look, you don't want to be at this team anymore, man. You need to be. Let's get you out of here. This is a bad situation for you. This team's sort of tough to deal with. They're being jerks about it. Let's get you a team that'll appreciate you. Oh, really? Yeah, let's get you out of here. Who do I need to go sign with? Juventus. Oh, okay, all right, I guess. And then whoop, player goes off to Juventus, right? Because their agent tells them that's where they need to go. That's the deal they need to cut. You're the business professional. I'm just the player. Okay. And because Juve is essentially handing cash over to these people in advance, it greases the wheels for free agents to come to them. It is Juve being crooked yet again. Relegate the club. Relegate the club. They think they're too big to fail. It's time. I'm tired of dealing with this crap with Juventus. But if you are a Juve supporter, that's fine. Good for you. But your team, it's like a Ponzi scheme. So they're always crooked. They're always getting in trouble. I hate Inter. You never hear about this from Inter. You never hear about this from, you hear about, like, Milan has done crooked stuff in the past, right? But you're not hearing, like, how often is Milan in the news for being investigated for criminal activities? Next to never. Inter, next to never, except bankruptcy stuff, right? That's it. Fiorentina, nope. Roma, nope. Lazio, nope. But Lazio has Nazi problems they have to deal with. But how often do you hear them in the news for criminal activities? Nope. Napoli, their owner is at war with Serie A on a regular basis, firing every coach that pretty much comes, even the ones who won Scudetto. Nope. Who else? You have, Lecce. Nope. Parma. Nope. Like this, we're even getting into Serie B now, right? Udinese. Nope. Torino. Nope. Only Juve. It's not. People are like, well, people just don't like Juve. No, they're criminals. They keep doing criminal stuff. It happens. It's not that your person is like this great, amazing, wonderful, revolutionary who's being attacked by just, because they're so great. They're being attacked because they're criminals, man. Like, this is how. I don't know. If you walk around with the big J on your shirt, I got nothing for you. It's a criminal club you support. They only get this kind of heat because they engage in criminal activities and shenanigans nonstop. It's Shenanigans FC. And one of the greatest things in the world is not being a Juve supporter. They sold their soul for Cristiano Ronaldo. And the problem is that when you sell your soul, there comes a time, when the jewels cease to sparkle and the gold loses its luster, and it's time to pay the piper. And Juve sold its soul to try to get Champions League gold. It never happened. It never came to fruition. Ha, ha, ha. You failed. And now you have to pay the piper. And now all of their little criminal activities are coming to the surface, and it is glorious to watch.
From our friends at La Repubblica, who had a rather large missive about this particular story, one of the agents that is now attached to this particular tentacle of the investigation, David Lippi. And if that last name's familiar, it's because he's the son of the former coach.
Oh, the World Cup winning manager as well? Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Former Juve manager.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Agents Commission is now going to decide, and this is translated and reading from La Repubblica. The Secretariat of the Agents Commission has in fact opened an investigation against the sports agents who were involved in the wiretaps of the investigation. So you got that.
Wiretaps again.
Wiretaps.
Juve's toughest opponent, the
Yes.
wiretap. Not Barcelona, not Real Madrid, not Bayern, not Napoli. The wiretap.
Wiretaps FC. During the searches, this is from our friends at Get Football News Italy. During the searches in the headquarters of Juve, notes on the agreements with the agents were found. A prospectus in the offices of the then director Federico Cherubini summarized Juve's debt position toward the various agents. So basically, they got a payroll to meet.
Yep, that's exactly what it is, and they are. There are some things. There are some stereotypes about Italian culture that are very true. The white envelope system is in full effect. You know, sometimes business gets done and you just get a white envelope. You don't open the white envelope until you get home. You don't dig through it while you're out in the open.
This is lovely. Do I need to put a stamp on it and mail it for you?
This is just, you get handed an envelope and that's it. And it's just how business is done. You work relationships. You work, these sort of insider deals because it's who you trust, right? I'm not going to be made a fool of. So I'm not going to. It's like we talked about with the bolognese the other day. How you don't put ground beef in a bolognese because you're convinced the butcher's trying to cheat you, into taking bad cuts of meat. So they take the bad cuts of meat, the cuts no one wants, and they turn it into ground beef, right? And so in order to ensure that you get your money's worth, you get the good cuts of meat. Well, it's that same sort of paranoia that drives people to do stuff like this, where you say, look, Lippi was a good man for us for a long time, an incredible manager. He was somebody who ended up leading the Azzurri to World Cup glory. His kid's an agent. Let's take care of him. All right. And so somebody writes it down. Okay, Lippi, for 14,000 euro, whatever. And eventually, when you get busted and you get the tax man with guns coming through the door and they raid you, it takes a long time to go through all this paperwork. And when they find it, they do that forensic analysis. Oh, wait a minute. Here's this secret payroll. We already found the secret payroll. Now we're on to the secret payroll. And it's SMU type activities, like we have a payroll to meet. And, if you want to win, it costs money. And so that's very true. But Juve didn't have any. Every other team in Italy has found a way to compete strapped for cash. Milan had a monopoly, a problem with monopoly money. They paid, what was it, 250 million, almost $250 million in transfer fees from a man whose net worth went to zero overnight. We were owned by a vulture hedge fund. And now we are playing Moneyball still as fallout from this. Inter could not re-sign like a lot of their players. They had to sell players. They couldn't, sign players because they were cash strapped. Juve's over there signing this person, signing that person, signing this star, signing that star. Ooh, we're signing this person over here. And then word gets out like, no, dude, like the TV does not lie. And whenever you can make something just like a visual observation, when you look at the crowd size at San Siro looks very similar to the crowd size at Allianz. And yet all of these other teams are dealing with these tremendous financial issues, even though their stadium's largely full, and Juve's not. Like, Like, I know they own their stadium. Don't get me wrong, but like, they're not. It's not like they're going farther in Champions League than Milan is or Inter is. Where's all this magical money coming from? It doesn't exist. They're writing phony checks. It's a Ponzi scheme, and it's getting played out in front of the world now. And it's always Juve. This shows again and again and again why Agnelli was so hair on fire for Super League. He wanted Super League because he knew it was the only way to pay the bills.
Needed the cash.
He needed the cash. The one payment from Super League solves all of the issues for Juve, and it didn't happen. And so now Juve is screwed because all their bad deals are coming to light. All their bad deals are coming to light. They desperately needed that money, and it's not happening.
If finances for the payments were not settled in one deal, they were settled in others. They were essentially not paid for the deal they were involved in, but paid for deals they were not involved in at all. David Lippi was due a certain amount in the swap deal involving Pellegrini and Spinazzola. Lippi was not paid as a part of the deal. Instead, he was paid and included as an agent for the renewal involving Chiellini, and audio recordings have confirmed that as a part of the investigation.
Yep. So what did I just say a minute ago? Somebody gets told an IOU. Somebody gets told, hey, look, we're going to make this right for you. Don't worry. And we're just going to attach you to a deal with a loyal soldier, right? Chiellini, the most loyal of soldiers. Chiellini was the one who orchestrated the phone calls to delete and some of the other Juve players to say, hey, look, Juve's paying you under the table, okay? They're going to pay you under the table. Just, don't say anything about it. And your pay is said to be this, but Juve's paying you under the table. Now, De Ligt was the only smart one of the group who was like, I am not going along with this. Now, why did De Ligt not want to go along with this? Because he wasn't a Juve man, right? Juve man says, okay, I'm planning on never leaving this club. So I don't have to worry about what my next negotiation is going to be. Because if I get paid publicly $1.5 million a year, and I go to try to get a $6 million, $7 million a year deal with Bayern or somewhere else, they're going to be like, what, look at these numbers. Like your level of play, while high, has not increased over time. So why do you rate this higher salary when production-wise, analytics-wise, there's no kind of hockey stick here? Like, the numbers you're asking for would suggest that you're doing double these numbers, from a performance on the field. And what are you going to say? Oh, well, guys, really, I know publicly it says I was being paid $1.5 million, but really I was being paid close to 5.5, 6 million because they were paying me under the table. Like, I'm sorry, there's nothing that says that you're being paid this, so we're not going to meet that money. That doesn't make any sense to us. The metrics don't bear out that you are owed this money. But if you're a Juve guy through and through, they know how much they're paying you. You know how much they're paying you. So no harm, no foul. Whatever. I'm still getting paid. I get to live in Turin. It's no big deal. But that was never De Ligt. So De Ligt made the smart move and got the blank out while the getting was good. And it goes to show that, I guarantee you Chiellini knew about this. Why would Chiellini come to MLS at this age and stage of his career? Why would he get out? Because Guardia di Finanza is not coming to Los Angeles. Guardia di Finanza is not coming to Los Angeles. They're not. He may, be investigated, whatever. But there's no immediacy. They're not going to come and arrest him at Los Angeles and haul him in to the Guardia di Finanza office for investigations. Because he's over here, they have to talk it out. Hey, when can you give a statement? When can we clear this up?
We'll get to it. I'll get to it. We'll get there.
But this is what happens, man. This is Juve being Juve, and they're a publicly traded company. Yet again, let me tell you guys this: they are a publicly traded company. This is why it's illegal, because you can't cook books for a publicly traded company. Every publicly traded company, and this is something that's very important for salespeople, young and upcoming salespeople. You need to look at whenever you are trying to do any sort of research on a company you're trying to sell into, Google the company's name if they're public and Form 10K, like K is in kilo. Form 10K. It lists out everything that the company considers risk going forward in the future, because they have to list this stuff out for shareholders, right? And I don't know what the Italian form of 10K is, but if you have any publicly traded company, you have to have certain documents publicly available that showcases what risk is, that showcases your financials, that showcases your growth strategy, so that way people can make educated decisions about investing with you. Juve essentially put out there, we have way more money than you think we do. We are completely healthy. There's nothing to worry about here. And in reality, they were cooking the books. They were paying people under the table. They were making shady deals with agents. Any other company, in most other countries, they would be in jail right now. This isn't just about sports. It's about finance. It's about faith in your economic system. This is absolutely criminal activity in every sense of the word. It's criminal activity because you are lying to your shareholders. You're cooking the books, which juices your market value. All right, it's fraud.
Yeah, strange how that plays. Do you think you'll get a documentary out of this?
At some point, yeah, they'll get something on Netflix, I'm sure.
And then Abby wants to know, why is every time that you say bolognese, she gets hungry?
I mean, she makes some bolognese.
There you go.
Just go ahead and do that.
Yeah, I mean, that's the way to play. We've passed the top of the hour, which means one thing. We have to adjust some volume so we don't blow our ears out.
John.
Yes.
I got a problem.
You got a problem?
Yeah.
What is your problem, sir?
Well, I was cooking some seafood and I put some stuff into the garbage can, and now it smells to high heaven here because of the stuff that was in the garbage can. John, what do I do with these terrible odors?
Well, I will tell you right now, Nick. You go to our friends at Eliminize. For odor-free, clean, fresh air, one place you need to go. It's Eliminize Service. Eliminize Service, proud sponsors of everything STH. QR code over my left shoulder for those of you who are watching on FaceSpace, on the 280 character app, or on Twitch. Eliminize deodorizes enclosed space like houses, apartments, and condos. They've created a customized solution that eliminizes all organic odors, including those like pet, cigarettes, and food. Realtors and property managers use Eliminize Service to eliminate bad odors to help them sell or rent their homes that much faster. Thank you, Ricky Ricardo, for telling me what a turnkey process is. Because Eliminize offers it too, making it easy to work with realtors and property managers. Kind of the environment, that much I do know about. Offering a green way to get rid of odors without any kind of toxic residue whatsoever. Different than Febreze or other masking agents that you may have either under the sink or above you in the cupboard, because when you reach under the sink or above you in the cupboard, and you pull out that masking agent, you spray the masking agent in the air. There's a reason they call it a masking agent. Just masks the odor. It doesn't attack the problem all the way down to the molecule, like our friends at Eliminize Service do with their proven scientific formula. Pricing one of two ways, either by the cubic foot or parts per million, and come up with a price that's affordable for you, offering results in 24 hours or less. If you have any questions, frequently asked or otherwise, one place you need to go, it's the website. And this is where I grab my pen. The website is eliminize.com. But what you do is you add /Atlanta after the .com so they know what part of the world that you are addressing them from, so they can help you with your issues geographically. full homework assignment. ELIMINIZE.com/Atlanta. Lemonize.com/Atlanta. The Lemonize Service, proud sponsors of everything SDH for your Tuesday thoughts.
Well, that's good to know, John. And I will look at getting a Lemonize in here to deal with those pesky odors. Thank you for letting me know. And Hutcho, I do not own a microwave. I do not own a microwave. I refuse to own a microwave.
Yee.
It changes the flavor of your food. I don't want it.
Yeah, I understand completely.
If by natively doing its job, it negatively impacts the flavor of your food, I don't want it.
And I can completely understand that. I'm going to kind of go outside the box here just a second, and I'm going to do this. Because the story, and this is the long version, because the story in and of itself involving this particular piece of developing story breaking news, it's got some backstory to it. And Reggie Cannon has signed with QPR. And I know that Ropes is wondering if going from the Portuguese League to the Championship is a step up, down, or a lateral step. I'm going to phrase it this way. Getting paid on a regular basis, I would hope, would be a step up. Now, here's your background on Reggie Cannon, for those of you that might have forgotten what in the wide world of sports is going on. A couple of years ago, back in 2020, the U.S. national team right back joins Boa Vista in the Portuguese League. And FC Dallas is like, that's great, fantastic, transfer fee, cool. And so the two sides agree to a transfer fee. Unfortunately, I don't think FC Dallas saw a damn dime of the transfer fee that was agreed to with Reggie Cannon. And I'm trying to find out, I'm looking kind of quickly here, what the transfer fee was from reportedly $3 million back in September of 2020. $3 million for Reggie Cannon to go from FC Dallas, who does a great job of developing talent, moving it on. Ricardo Pepi, another example, another 8-figure transfer fee. But Reggie Cannon goes in 2020 for $3 million to Boa Vista of the Portuguese League. They kind of didn't pay a damn dime. And they were cash strapped to begin with. And so, Reggie Cannon, yeah, he was there for basically 3 years. Signed a 5-year deal, but left at the end of the most recent season. So basically like May, he left after 3 years. Contract was set to run through 25, currently a free agent at the time, because he, quote, unilateral just cause to terminate my contract. Because he believed he had unilateral just cause to terminate his contract. So in an interview with the Four Letter on their Football America show, here's what Reggie Cannon said. In Portugal, in the past 3 years, I've only been paid on time once. And it's been difficult for the players. It's been difficult for the staff. It just came out that the staff was behind payments for 6 months. 6 months behind in getting paid. And this is July. So staff in July hadn't been paid since the first of the year. Situation's been very difficult for me and my family. And this is Reggie talking back in July. Every time I went back, I didn't have my visa sorted, and I'd have to wait 6 hours in the airport. The tax situation wasn't sorted. I mean, I can just go on and on and on. I have nothing but respect for the amazing fans of Boa Vista, but this is July. But for everyone I played with, the coaches I played for, it's been honestly very difficult because I felt the passion, felt the energy of the club, and it was just a difficult thing to have to leave on the basis of free agency, having just cause, because there's just been so many things that have gone wrong. He says he wanted to stay in Europe at the time, back in July. He was playing out of position, difficult conditions to play in. QPR signs Reggie Cannon, and you hope that QPR will actually pay him. The first check that arrives on time will actually better his situation than he had at Boa Vista. But, and this is a but, back in August, there was talk about QPR. Evening Standard. We'll go back to March just to give you a bit of a primer. Kieran Maguire, who is a must-follow on any piece of social media that you have, great at breaking down finances, especially overseas. Back in March, QPR's latest accounts have revealed the perilous state of the club's finances, with a leading expert warning the championship side's future stability remains dependent on the whim of loss-absorbing owners. The accounts published this week, and this is March, relate to the 21-22 season when the club made a pre-tax loss of more than £24 million. Ever since being relegated from the Premier League in 2015, long operating without parachute payments, Kieran Maguire told us the Evening Standard, results show the stresses of trying to compete in the championship with no parachute payments and a loyal but modest fan base. Owners are subsidizing the club, as is the case with all in the championship, but if they get bored, as happened at Derby, then there's a big hole to fill. The report also showed back in March, Rangers still owed £90 million in various loans, player transfer installments, and an outstanding settlement over FFP. These are not good things. Club's wage bill rose by around 10% compared to the 2021 season due to largely an increase in the size of the playing squad. Significant £8.5 million investment in the new training ground. Club revenue grew by $7 million, thanks in main to fans returning after COVID. They were struggling last season on the field. That was March. In August, Talk Sport had mentioned they're coming into the new campaign among the favorites to suffer relegation from the championship. Jeff Stelling, who retired as host of Soccer Saturday. Personal abuse for Gareth Ainsworth is appalling. The fans are lashing out. What a surprise. You were hopeless before he came in and have spent sweet fa. He was a good servant for you. Fans need to give him a break. He showed at Wickham he is a good manager, and that is very true. 2017, a long-running investigation into QPR's finances ruled EFL's 2012 FFP rules were unlawful, leading to a punishment. The club were fined 6 years ago, £17 million, $3 million paid in damages. Club shareholders would capitalize on outstanding loans, taking the overall punishment to just under £42 million. Penalties paid over a 10-year period. No word on if those are in line or not. Shoestring budget, using loans, frees, and funds raised from selling players in order to fund the strengthening of the playing squad, not to mention sizable off-field expenses. Training ground, we mentioned that. They had Eberici Eze at QPR. He went to Crystal Palace. They did not find a replacement for him. He was part of the crown jewel. He was listed as the crown jewel for their system, but they took a $20 million payday. QPR only reinvested a small amount of that sum in selling Eze into the playing squad, unable to sign a suitable replacement. Now full England international tip for a move with Crystal Palace. You've had a managerial merry-go-round. Picture 4 or 5 other guys. So August, that was the current word about QPR. Let's go to the standings. Gareth Ainsworth, to Jeff Stelling's point, did tremendous work at Wickham Wanderers. You want to talk about a shoestring budget? They had that. He's got the same thing now at QPR. And in the championship right now, they are 19th. 8 points in 8 matches, 3 points out of the relegation zone. and this is a common thread among a lot of the clubs that were in the Premier League have since been relegated. Let's go to the bottom half of the table. West Brom, Blackburn, Southampton, Watford, Huddersfield, Coventry, QPR, Stoke, Swansea, Middlesbrough, and Sheffield Wednesday to a lesser degree, far more distant. All of them in the lower half of the table in the Championship have been relegated from the Premier League in the last decade, say to be safe, and have not found a way back. If you do not find a way back immediately or in a second season after a relegation because you still have your parachute payments, you seem to be destined for this fate. QPR right now, 8 points, 8 matches, 19th, 3 points from safety after 8 matches this season. But remember, the league schedule is 46 matches. But that is where Reggie Cannon is going. And Nick, for a guy like Reggie Cannon to go through all of the ish he went through at Boa Vista, declare himself a free, and now go to QPR where it's at best. I mean, it says a lot about Reggie Cannon wanting to play first and foremost. But Hutch reminds us this story is exactly why players need to do their research into the clubs they're thinking about going to. There you go.
This sounds like agent malpractice to me. The player needs to do some research, but really it needs to be on the agent. It's the agent's job to know the player, to know the client they're representing, to put their client in a situation that is going to allow them the greatest opportunity to earn income for as long as humanly possible. If you have failed at Boa Vista, meaning that like failed to find solid ground at Boa Vista, you're looking now at a situation where there's significant turbulence at QPR. What on God's green earth is that agent doing? If the agent is being told by people surrounding Cannon, hey, look, make QPR happen, that's one thing. But if the agent is presenting this to Reggie Cannon, I would look, if I'm Reggie Cannon and I'm people around Reggie Cannon, I'm strongly suggesting that he get new representation. And to Hutch's point, what if the agent's being paid under the table like I was talking about earlier? It could be. We don't know. Maybe this thing with Juve is uncovering a whole sort of underground economy with agents. But an agent's job is to facilitate long-term income potential for his client. It is to ensure that the player is winning, not the team, the player. And I don't know how Reggie Cannon's winning here. You can want to play in Europe. You can want to play in a league outside of MLS. You can feel trapped playing in MLS. I understand. Especially a lot of these kids who grow up playing in the U.S. They view MLS as like a fourth string option. They want to test themselves in the biggest and best leagues in the world. Is QPR really going to do that for you? You can't convince me that's the case. Are they going to pay you on time? Can't convince me that's the case. There are other teams in other leagues, but this to me begins and ends with malpractice on the agent's part.
All right, so the representation is YMU Group, and I went through Transfermarkt and tried to do a little digging here. And the players, that's a long list of folks, give you the short list of some of the heavyweights and some of the names we would know. Christian Roldan, Jordan Morris, Georgi Mihailovic, Jackson Ewell, John Tolkien. Brooks Lennon is on this list being represented by YMU.
Hold on.
Yeah. What's up?
Are you going like level of most importance to least here?
No, I'm literally just reading.
Okay. Okay. All right. But please excuse me. Go ahead.
Jackson Ewell, John Tolkien, Cannon, Brooks Lennon, Caden Clark, Derek Etienne Jr. Let's see, Mark Delgado, Byrak Terovich with the Revs, Ian Harks, Joe Willis. But like I said, this is the list of management of YMU's clients. Alejandro Bedoya, and this is from Transfermarkt. Abu Dunladi, Marco Fabian, page 3. So there's a lot of heavyweights on this list at YMU. Let's see. Jonathan Bornstein is on this list. Brad Gazan is a client at YMU. So there's a lot of clients here that YMU handles that are active in Major League Soccer. Just to give you an example.
Yeah, but those aren't heavyweights. I'm sorry. Globally,
94 players, 38 first-tier players, according to YMU management.
Yeah, look, they're important players. Okay, important players. I'm not diminishing anyone on that list. I'm not, but this screams to me. Mm-hmm. Where are they based out of, by the way?
Efforting. Hang on just a second.
Because before I pop off in my mouth and say something really dumb, I want to verify something.
Okay, hang on. Let's see. What about contact? Contact us. About us, careers news. Contact us. We'd love to hear from you. 2, 3 in London, 1 in Manchester, 1 in Los Angeles, 1 in New York, 1 in Washington, D.C. So 3 in the London area and 3 here domestically in the United States.
Okay, they should know better. They should know better. You have offices in Manchester. You have offices in London. You know how this market works. And you know, he's one of what? Reggie Cannon's what, 1 in 90?
94.
94. Okay, yeah. You got to get a different group, my man. You're not important. You're not. If the player says I want to go to Boa Vista, send me to Boa Vista. I got to go to Boa Vista. Okay, that's one thing. That's fine. That may be what happened. I don't know. But I hope to God the agent was like, Reggie, if you want this deal, I will make it happen. However, you should understand they don't pay people. The economics of this team are bupkis, man. It's not there. They could be out of business in a year. You know, like they could be bankrupt. This is not a good situation. Nope, make it happen. Okay. That may be what happened. I don't know. Mm-hmm. But you're telling me that there's no value for Reggie Cannon in Major League Soccer where you're at least guaranteed to be paid?
Yeah.
I mean, call Dallas. Call Dallas and be like, look, sell my rights. Sell my MLS rights to somebody else. I'm not coming back to Dallas. That's fine. But you can't tell me that someone was not asleep at the wheel when this happened. I don't know whether it was Cannon's entourage, or YMU. Somebody was asleep at the wheel here. Somebody was asleep at the wheel. And it looks like that's still the case. And it's looking more and more like it's Cannon refuses. I'm above MLS. I don't want to play in MLS. I don't want to deal in MLS. I want to deal in a top tier league, you know, or I want to deal in Europe. Okay. Mm-hmm. We'll make it happen. I don't know. Somebody's asleep at the wheel. That's really dumb though. If Cannon pushed this deal to go play overseas, God bless him. Good luck, but it's a dumb deal. So I'm sorry. Some players are Major League Soccer quality. Some players in Major League Soccer can play in Europe. But that doesn't mean that it's accurate, right? It doesn't mean that just because you think you can play in Europe, you can. Just because you think you can play in South America, that you can. That teams are willing to pay for you to come in. You're not Christian Pulisic. You're not Monza. You're not you're not any of these other guys. You've got, I don't know. Someone's asleep at the wheel. There's too many And that's right, Kepsy. Reggie wanted to leave.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Reggie, I don't know you from Adam, but you need to strongly seek outside counsel on what your next move is going to be. Okay? Get a second opinion. That's it. I'm not judging anything else. I'm just saying get a second opinion on your move, because I don't know if QPR is the right move in this situation. I can understand not wanting to go back to Dallas. I completely get it. I do. But at the same time, you know, I don't know. I would get a second opinion. I would get an outside opinion here. It just, yeah. And there's nothing saying you can't go to Dallas and say, sell me, get me out of here. I don't want to be, a part of this organization. And something tells me that Dallas is like, great. If somebody gets us the right number, we'll move you, but somebody has to come with the right amount of money. And so, MLS rights BS. Yeah, exactly. It's exactly what we're talking about here. Bayern needs to reach out to Dallas and be like, what's the number on Reggie to get his rights to someone else? I don't give a damn who it is. What's the number? Just give us the number. That's all we need. And then go from there. But I would get a second opinion on a move to QPR, what your next move is going to be, because you've had a couple of starts and stops that have not worked out well. So, I don't know, man.
One other thing in Serie A, and this comes from our friends at Fichajes, and I don't know if you had the chance to see this. Our friends at Fichajes are saying AC Milan are reportedly interested in making a move to sign Borussia Dortmund and USMNT attacker Gio Reyna in the January transfer window. Milan head coach Stefano Pioli has reportedly given the green light to sign him. That's from our friends at Fichajes about an hour ago.
I have no problem with that move, mainly because of his age. He has, if he can contribute and can be moved later for more cash, that's fine. I do have a problem with the fact that we don't have enough Italians on the team. I think it's an issue that I have. I understand that Cardinale is trying to, make the team as marketable stateside as possible because it's the largest economy that, that Cardinale wants to play in. But, there's the difference between him and Pulisic in my mind is that when Pulisic's done, he's probably going to take a sweetheart deal to come to MLS to be a DP for the last few years of his career. But Milan's not going to get anything out of Pulisic. Money-wise, we're not going to get anything out of him. So I would rather deal with, for anybody who kind of puts the idea out there that you just don't want this player because he's an American player. That's not the case at all. I want players that we can make money off of because that's what we were promised whenever we were forced to sell Tonali. So just follow through on what you say. Say what you mean and mean what you say. I have no problem with Gio Reyna as long as Diva Reyna stays at home or gets left behind. And Gio, the absurd talent and absurd upside is the only thing that makes the train to Milan. That's all I want. If it happens. But I think you probably get him for a good value.
If you were a player at Chelsea and the owner came wandering into the dressing room, making regular post-match visits to the dressing room and the manager's office, how would you feel?
This happened all the time in Serie A. It would be like, all right, whatever. It happens in Serie A all the time. All the time. That's the difference between Italy and England. In Italy, not only would like De Laurentiis come into the locker room yelling and screaming at the players, he would demand the ritorno as well, where the players have to live on campus, essentially. They have to live at the facility for a period of time. But in England, it's hard for me because this is not overreach in my mind. Like, you own the team, you can do whatever the hell you want. But is it helpful? No. But in England, it's a very different animal. They're probably not used to that. But in Italy, it's like, yeah, this is normal. This is you had managers who would tell you who you could date, who you could not date, where you could go, what clothes to wear. I mean, like, it just absurd levels of control. So this is not. I'm the wrong person to ask on this one because this is not under this is not crazy. This is not crazy Italian owner syndrome.
Well, because the reason I ask is because our friends at the Telegraph have a story out where part of the Chelsea Brain Trust or Owners Trust, Vedat Iqbali, is now making regular post-match visits to the dressing room in the manager's office. Chelsea sources insist Iqbali did not address the players after the loss to Aston Villa and has not delivered pep talks during any of his visits. But his presence, and like I said, this is from our friends at the Telegraph, Matt Law with the article. And this is Law's words. He hasn't delivered pep talks, but his presence in the area normally reserved for the head coach, his staff, and the players could still prompt debate. Iqbali's co-controlling owner, Todd Bowley, was widely criticized for entering the dressing room after last season's defeat to Brighton and labeling the team embarrassing in an address to the players. Backlash faced by Bowley has not put off Iqbali, who was spotted leaving the dressing room area at Stamford Bridge after the loss to Villa. Understood he's made the same trip after every game he has attended this season. Bowley is also said to have visited the dressing room area this year, but has not repeated his post-Brighton pep talk, if you want to call your team embarrassing a pep talk, rather than expressing his thoughts to the team during post-game visits. Iqbali is said to have instead shaken hands with players and coaching staff and wished individuals well. Regardless of his motives, Iqbali's post-match presence in the dressing room area risks inviting further debate over the involvement of owners, who head coach Mauricio Pochettino admitted were disappointed by his team's start to the season. Spent the final week of the transfer window camped out at the training ground. And so Iqbali's been consistent in his approach, win, lose, or draw. Visits will not have come as a surprise to Pochettino. So, and Pochettino has said, and recently, hang on, let me get the quote recently that Ben Jacobs has on Pochettino. He says, I like it when the owners come in. This is Pochettino to Ben Jacobs. I think it's good. The way in which they approach the players is most important. If they do it in the correct way, they are very welcome. They come in with Paul and Lawrence, Bedad sometimes, Todd also, and we talk about the game. I don't see it in a bad way. If they came for a speech, that is different. But the way they come, they are very welcome. They own the club. I think they can do what they want. That's Pochettino. So Pochettino's with you.
Yeah, this is not globally. This is not remotely. This doesn't even get on my slightly crazy scale. Like, this is, I get that. I get that a lot of people, from the American side and the English side, don't they view this as nuts, right? Like, the owner is not helping things by doing this, and there's logic and reason in that opinion, right? I want to be very clear here. Your opinion is correct in my mind. However, this is not crazy on a global scale. In Italy, this happens regularly. The times that Berlusconi would go down and just nuke the Milan locker room after a tough loss, or Maratti, would get wacky. Gianni Agnelli was known to go down and mix it up with players, and sometimes positive, sometimes negative, but would always would always be there, a present figure, shall we say. And Aurelio De Laurentiis is like one of the last of the old school nut job owners, where he demanding lockdowns of players and, firing managers at a whim. There's no question whose team it is. None. Zero. And Chelsea's in a position where the investment, the juice is not worth the squeeze.
Mm-hmm.
But ownership's not going to see that because it's ownership issues that put them in this position to begin with. Like, if you cause this much instability at a club, bringing this number of people in, so many people at one point where they had to create like a second, like B-level locker room, a kids table, for lack of a better term, because you brought so many people in. This is stuff you brought on yourself. So you're not going to see like, oh, my idiocy brought this to fruition. It's not going to be till things get really bad for Boley and the rest of his cohort to say, hey, maybe we need to back up a bit and kind of let someone work. Because what's going to happen is you're going to end up like the NFL team in Washington, where the owner is so meddling that no one wants to coach there. Even fewer people want to play there because they know what's going to happen. You'll get a group of mercenaries who know they're going to get paid. They don't care about winning, and the environment around the owner is toxic. The environment in the locker room is toxic, and it's all because of the owner's meddling. That's where you are now, right? And you see this with the Cowboys with Jerry. And Jerry understands. He admits it. He's like, I love this team too much, and he's never getting back to the Super Bowl because of the buffoonery the circus that he brings to the team. And this is what happens with meddlesome owners in a non-Italian environment. I can't speak for Spain. I don't know enough about Spain. I can't speak for France. I don't know enough about France. But I can tell you from an Italian perspective, this is pretty normal. If you could keep Mama and Papa Reina wherever the hell they're going to be, they can stay the hell out of Milanello.
Good luck on that one. The only thing that would probably be holding them back would be the airfares. If you were mad at your owners and you were in a country that was attached to an ancillary property, would you still show your displeasure at the ownership group if you were at an entirely different sporting event in an entirely different country? Would you drop dime on something like that if you were that mad?
Yes.
Because apparently last night, while there's still a writer's strike going on, we get double headers, or we get two simultaneous Monday Night Football games. Manchester United fans got a plane, flew it over the pirate ship last night with the game with the Philadelphia Eagles, and had a banner attached to the back of the plane that said Glazers out in Tampa at the Buccaneers game. Manchester United fans are now going to Florida to express their displeasure.
It's a pretty dangerous trip. Look, you got to. There are times that environment has a lot to do with the effectiveness of a protest. So if it's like if you have an outdoor press conference, most people already have their guard up. They have their shields up because they know that they're going to be taking a certain amount of heat. So that sort of invisible barrier is up. People like calling you every name in the book, and you just smile and nod because you're prepared for it, right? You've had opportunity to prepare yourself for this. I can tell you that I worked for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Dungy's last season in charge as head coach, and Gruden's first year in charge as coach. The Glazers were forever present on the sidelines. It's a big family, right? And so the Glazers were always around. If they believe that the ocean protects them from dealing with the heat up at United. Their fan base just proves that that's not accurate. So I would imagine, because the NFL is so tied in with the owners and so tied in with, like, hey, there are planes flying around Raymond James that have banners attached to them. Oh, Jesus Christ, these guys, I guarantee you they saw it. I guarantee you that they saw it, or they were at least informed about it at the very worst. I respect the hell out of it, man. If you're putting that kind of dime up, would I do this? If I was in Europe, like if I was at Milan and the Milan basketball team was playing in like Paris and I could catch a train for 30, 40 euro to go to Paris and protest, yeah, I would do that. Am I paying Delta like $900 to fly to Tampa to protest and to rent a plane? No, I'm not.
And by the way, according to our friends at Bloomberg, Giles Turner and David Hellier, Sir Jim Ratcliffe is restructuring his offer to buy. Right now, they per share price of the Manchester United A stock is at $19.98, up 3% on the day. And Ratcliffe is restructuring his offer in an attempt to break the deadlock in the takeover saga, working with his advisors to address concerns about the terms of his bid from minority investors in the Premier League, according to people who asked, obviously not to be identified, discussing confidential information. Remember, the Ratcliffe bid is for 69% in Manchester United. That's nice. That would keep the Glazers involved at 31%, and that left little benefit for holders of the club's remaining stock, including Lindsell Train, Ariel Investments, and Eminence Capital. Bloomberg reported previously that a top 3 shareholder in Manchester United sent a letter to the club's board warning that independent directors could be at risk of being sued for recommending any bid that favors one set of shareholders over another. Ratcliffe obviously declined comment, as did his reps. Ratcliffe, the chairman of chemicals giant Ineos, is competing with Sheikh Jassim bin Hamad Al Thani to buy Manchester United, both proposals still being considered by the club, as well as a potential minority stake sale, said folks once again asked not to be identified. We've been at this a year. And the Qatari group, Sheikh Jassim, wants the whole thing. Wants to buy him outright. Ratcliffe's offer could allow Joel and Avram Glazer to remain invested, and that would really piss off folks, especially the ones that flew the plane over the pirate ship last night. Ratcliffe has mentioned that he's got a good offer, and he still wants to do it. You've got your Ratcliffe has lined up his financing from Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan, Rothschild, and Bank of America. They're advising the deal. He already owns Nice in Ligue 1, pictured celebrating in the team's dressing room last weekend after a victory over rivals Monaco, lifted them to second in Ligue 1. And so Ben Jacobs makes the point, when you're restructuring, it isn't a totally fresh or a higher bid. Sources have always indicated to Ben Jacobs that Ratcliffe has only been flexible. The only deal breaker is he wants a majority stake and control of the club. Restructuring, I guess, here as we go into Econ 101. Normal part of ongoing negotiations, evidence in many ways, and this is from Ben Jacobs, all active groups are undertaking advanced tasks commonly associated with a preferred bidder, but just without the exclusivity. This, in turn, ensures some competitive tension with Ratcliffe. If any of the Glazers stay, 2 important parts to the talks: club valuation or price based on the percentage desired, and most likely the terms of any laddered exit for those who stay. Ratcliffe's April preference was to have a put and call clause exercisable in 2026. This means that either the remaining Glazers can sell at a pre-agreed price, or it'd be calculated based on a formula, or Ratcliffe could have the option to buy the remaining shares. But Ratcliffe has also discussed multiple other options and structures, including just taking that percentage. Experienced negotiator within his budget. That's why he also doesn't want 100%. He doesn't see the point in paying extra if he can gain control with less up front. And this is a point of contention with shareholders. Those close to Ratcliffe make it clear he's aware of the legal repercussions Wouldn't have entered into the process if he didn't think an agreement would be thwarted by legal challenges. Not a whole lot has changed. Sheikh Jassim's bid once again, also at 100%. Despite the Glazers thinking the club could be worth $12 billion, 10 billion pounds, still told all the Glazers are determined sellers if 7 to 7.5 is offered, but with pledged investment excluded. They don't see that as relevant to the process. So right now, Sergeant Ratcliffe and Sheikh Jassim are at 6.5. Glazers are looking at somewhere to 7 and 7.5. We've been at this a year. There's also talk that the Glazers themselves are just kind of kicking tires because they think it's worth 10. And honestly, they'll be like pulling it off the market. And it's like, no, we're good. We'll keep it. And, you know, when somebody wants to meet 10, we'll meet 10. So once again, as United turns with planes flying overhead, telling the Glazers to leave, and the Glazers aren't leaving, tell me what else is new. The answer, Nick, is nothing.
Well, I'll put it this way. Everyone who throws their hat into the ring saying, I'll pay this amount of billions of dollars for, for United, that only raises the value of the club, right? I mean, it's like if somebody says, I'm going to pay a stupid amount of money for this club, how does that hurt the Glazers? Doesn't, right? Offering 69%, to buy 69% gives you the majority share, allows you control of the club, less cost. But the challenge with that is there's still cooks in the kitchen. There's still people who can have input into things. United fans have got to figure out, do they want to be they have talked a lot of trash over the years to city ownership group, right? Your club is run by an oil state.
Mm-hmm.
Newcastle, same thing. Sports washing, petro state. You have, Chelsea. You guys were owned by like a Russian oil tycoon. You want to join that group? I mean, really? That's not going to solve anything on the field. It's not going to solve anything on the field. You got a lot of bad contracts that you've got to get rid of if you are Manchester United. And that is your issue. That it's not, you had a group of people who didn't listen to Ralph Rangnick, if reports are to be believed. Ralph Rangnick turned in a list of players that they needed to go get that included the giant Nordic Terminator that's currently residing on the blue side of town. And United was like, nah, we're good. So it seems to me like most of your problems are bad contracts and poor decision making. That's not going to get solved with somebody with stupid amounts of money. As the world has been more than happy to show us, there are plenty of people who are really, really ignorantly rich who have really, really dumb opinions on things. So I good luck. I don't know. I don't think the Glazers are selling. You could sell and get a short-term spike in capital, but if you are a part of the organization, you can milk it long-term and generationally, right? So like there'll be the Glazers' great grandkids will be milking, the fattened calf of Manchester United for years to come. They're not going anywhere. They're not. I don't see any way that I think that the 69% deal is going to be the one they're going to end up taking because they don't want to miss out on any of the money that can come from Manchester United just existing as Manchester United.
And speaking of which, Rob Dawson over at the Four Letters says that Jadon Sancho has been urged to apologize to Erik ten Hag by his teammates. Banished from first-team training following his rift with ten Hag after being left out of the squad for the match against Arsenal back in September. 23-year-old has so far refused to say sorry. No time frame for his return to the squad. Standoff has lasted more than 3 weeks. And according to Dawson, Sancho's teammates led by Rashford, Shaw, and Maguire have stepped in a bid to resolve the situation. Sancho has been told by his England teammates to apologize in order to save his career at Old Trafford. banished from all first-team areas, including dressing rooms and the canteen, currently training alone with club coaches on the academy pitches, only allowed minimal interaction with his senior colleagues, obviously open to leaving in the January window, but remains under contract until 2026. Dude's off by himself.
Yeah, well, look, they have to, again, sort the decision making on this team. That's the problem. They had issues under every manager that they've had their past 4. They've had significant issues with culturally, economically, meddling. That's internally an issue. That's we all like to blame only external forces for losing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Somebody cheated. Tom Brady cheated. Tom Brady, didn't do this. Look, your team blew it. Decision making was poor. We all, we like to, the bad guy use cheap tactics to win. It's like pro wrestling, but we very rarely like to point the magnifying glass at ourselves and look at our own mistakes that we make. That is, yes, Alex, if everywhere you go there's a problem, then you're the problem. Yes. Succinct, beautiful, well said.
That's a t-shirt.
It really is. Every manager with United, there's a problem. Every player that gets brought in, there's a problem. You try. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer said, "I tried to put the captain's armband on somebody, and they said I don't want it. I don't want that. No." There were players who didn't want it. Who weren't doing their best in training because they didn't care. All of these problems are systemic in nature, which means they all branch off from the same tree, right? It's you, United. You're the problem. Organizationally, you're the problem. From a leadership position, you're a problem. Ownership is a problem. Capital investment's a problem. From the fan base is a problem. There's nothing in harmony with this club. There's no singular guiding point. City has Pep, right? No matter what anyone else does, Pep is the guiding light for City. Love him, hate him, it doesn't matter, right? All of the insanity at Real Madrid, okay? Carlo has been the guiding light there. He got all the players unified for the first time in God knows how long. Probably helps that they got rid of Sergio Ramos in the process. But there's one leader there, right? And there's still Real Madrid. The same problem exists at PSG. There's no harmony. Players are at each other's throats. Players fighting nonstop. Bad contracts. People raging at one of your superstar players. Superstar player exits, throws hand grenades from across the ocean. They throw grenades back. It is an internal problem, and sometimes you are the problem. And if you are the problem, it is on you to fix it, not anyone else, not anyone external, right? Sometimes you just lose. It happens, Sun Tzu said, it is possible to know the path to victory, but impossible to achieve it, right? Like you can know how to win, but you can't implement it. You can't implement the process that would guarantee victory. Sometimes, Man United doesn't know themselves. They don't. They have no knowledge of self. You may know your opponent, but you don't know yourself. So you're not going to win. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. It's a crapshoot. Who knows? But
sometimes it rains.
Yeah, but that's an issue with United. It's been that way since Ferguson. Sir Alex Ferguson was still here. Well, he's not coming back. So somebody in that org needs to step up and be the damn guiding light. And the Glazers can't run it like an American company. And that's how they've been running it, which is we're going to run from the very, very tippy top in an ivory tower, and we're going to let the supervisors run everything at a tactical level. That doesn't work. That does not work for Manchester United. You need a figurehead. You don't have it. Ten Hag is not it. And it's not Ten Hag's fault. But I do think that Ten Hag comes from sort of the idea, like the idealistic world of Ajax, which is anyone can learn this system if they really want to. It's not. Because it's not a system. Ajax is a culture, and it can be very difficult to impart a culture somewhere. The only other place this has been successful to any sort of a higher level is Barcelona. That's it. It's kind of flamed up in places and then gone away, but you can't install the Ajax culture in a place that doesn't want culture, because everyone has their own little fiefdom, right? The players have their own little fiefdoms. I'm not giving up my little space. You're not getting rid of me. The manager, all right, I'm trying to exert control, but because there's such distributed power everywhere else, I can't centralize anything. There's no way you're going to win consistently with that. Stupid.
Won't stop folks from chasing after it, though.
Oh.
No,
the nostalgia police don't help.
No, they don't. No, nostalgia police do not help. One other story that is requested reading for the day before we get into gossip, rumor, and innuendo and what to watch. Big story put out by another must follow on your social medias, David Kahn, yesterday at The Guardian. Headline: UEFA accused of presenting untrue evidence to inquiry on Champions League final chaos. UEFA has been accused of presenting, quote, completely untrue evidence, end quote, to its own independent inquiry into the near disaster at the 22 Champions League final to protect its safety and security unit, headed by the president's best friend, from criticism. Allegations have been made by UEFA's then operations director, Sharon Burkhalter-Lau, an events management specialist who was second in command in the planning of the 28 May final at the Stade de France between Liverpool and Real Madrid. Match descended into a near-fatal disaster where the safety management operation failed. Thousands of supporters suffered long static queues, crushing dangerous policing and attacks by local thugs. Paragraph: UEFA appointed a panel of experts to review the debacle, and it concluded that UEFA had primary responsibility, in quotation marks, because it failed to monitor and oversee the safety plans in operation in Paris. However, the panel said this failure was not principally the fault of the safety and security unit, whose role is to oversee safety, but of Burkhalter-Lau's events division, because it had, quote, marginalized the unit. Since 2021, the safety and security unit has been headed by Zeljko Pavlica, best friend of the UEFA president, Alexander Seferin, with their relationship going back decades to their lives at home in Slovenia. Pavlica's background is in personal bodyguard security, and his level of experience and expertise to qualify him for European football's most senior stadium safety role has been questioned by some safety professionals. This is David Kahn at The Guardian. In memos sent to UEFA's General Secretary, Theodore Theodoridis, and three other senior officials seen by The Guardian, Burkhalter-Lau rejected as completely untrue UEFA's evidence the unit had been marginalized. Paragraph, saying she could not accept the conclusion that UEFA and its events division bore primary responsibility for the chaos. As the panel concluded, Burkhalter-Lau emphasized her view that the problems had principally been caused by the Paris police, over whom UEFA had no authority, and she rejected the accusations against her team. Quote, the claim that UEFA Events senior management team marginalized the UEFA security unit is based on statements provided by UEFA that were untrue and concerted, she wrote. Burkhalter-Lau alleged that Pavlica and his team did not turn up for vital meetings about safety, including in the run-up to the final, and failed to provide crucial information for the planning process. In his evidence to the panel, which was not included in the panel report, Pavlica said that on the evening of the final, he was in the VIP area for almost the entire time. He told the panel he'd been unaware of the crisis until he was called to a meeting at 8:45 p.m. where Sefrin took the decision to delay the kickoff. That was despite the scenes that had been developing outside for hours, according to Kahn. Pavlica's own staff being in the stadium control center, and some of them raising alarms as early as 5:19 in the unit's WhatsApp group. Burkhalter-Lau's allegations raise further questions about UEFA's culture under Sefrin. After the final, The Guardian reported on serious concerns about alleged cronyism in UEFA appointments, with Pavlica and 4 more of Sefrin's associates from Slovenia appointed to key positions. UEFA denied the accusation of cronyism, saying they were all, quote, proven professionals, end quote. Sefrin subsequently confirmed he'd been instrumental in these appointments and suggested he should be applauded for it, saying in an interview, if I brought competent people that I trust to UEFA that are hardworking people there, I think I'm quite good in this world of football, end quote. And that is just about a third of the article itself, and that is why it has been posted in the Twitch pitch for requested required reading of the day. So accusations hurtled toward UEFA about the disastrous 2022 final at the Stade de France. So that is your requested required reading of the day.
Yeah.
Go for it, Nick.
Moment of advice giving here.
Mm-hmm.
There will be times in your life when you try to do a friend or a family member a solid, and you know that they're not qualified for like just about anything, but because it's your friend or family member, you're like, yeah, I'll help you out. It's no problem. And you see about getting them in and getting them hired, they get a paycheck, and for a while things are okay. It's going to be like that until something goes wrong and their ignorance really just gets put on parade. And that's going to come right back to you. So look at the situation that you're doing, that you're putting this person, your friend or family member, into. When you do that solid, there's a reason why they would often put, remember that, like, oh, we're gonna put you in the mail room, right? It's where you can do the least amount of damage. And if you can work your way up, good for you. But you can do the least amount of damage in the mail room. Nowadays, you got people like, yeah, we'll put you in the mid-level management. Never managed anything in their life. and then it goes sideways. And they're like, well, what happened? I don't know. I mean, so look, just no good deed goes unpunished. Be very careful about where you put your friends and family whenever you're trying to do them a solid. That's all I'm going to say.
Gossip, rumor, and innuendo. Lionel Messi will not start in the Open Cup final, but will be on the bench and could possibly see some minutes in the second half. My guess is he'll come on at 45. And we'll see what happens there with that. Arsenal ready to step up their interest in Ivan Toney. Brentford value him at $60 million. And that comes from the Mirror. Also considering signing a striker, meaning Brentford, if they don't sell Toney. Wolfsburg's 24-year-old Denmark striker Jonas Vind, AZ Alkmaar's Vangelis Pavlidis, and Santos's Marcus Leonardo are on the short list. Mark Cucurella, hoping to leave Chelsea in January, has held talks with Pochettino from the three-letter paper. Roma, keen to turn the 30-year-old Romelu Lukaku's loan into a permanent deal, may offer Tammy Abraham in a part exchange as a bit of a make-weight. That's from our friends at Calcio Mercato Web. Real Madrid went Bayer Leverkusen manager Xabi Alonso to replace Carlo Ancelotti, set to leave at the end of the season to coach Brazil. Chelsea have secretly parted company with Bruno Saltor, who joined as part of former manager Graham Potter's backroom staff and was the first team coach under Pochettino. Chief Executive Beppe Marotta says Inter Milan will soon meet with Italian defender Federico Di Marco to discuss a new deal. England defender Fikayo Tomori rejected the advances of PSG to stay at AC Milan. Jadon Sancho's Manchester United teammates, we mentioned that one about the apology. The PFA's offered to help Sancho and Ten Hag settle their differences. West Ham have ended their interest in Jesse Lingard, who's training with Al Ettifaq. Tottenham will want €15 million, £13 million for Giovanni Lo Celso to leave in January, with Barcelona and Real Betis both interested. And Newcastle fears, before we go, that a particular player, Harvey Barnes, might be out of the rest of the year with a very unusual injury. That is in quotation marks, as he was forced off Eddie Howe says it doesn't look good. I think he has a toe problem, pushed off, felt something in his toe. Barnes's injury has been assessed and confirming Tuesday. So sounds like it's Liz Frank that it might be. Everything's leaning in that direction. So we'll see what happens there with Harvey Barnes and Newcastle. Let's see what to watch for before we go. And once again, tomorrow it is standard hour number 1 traffic. It'll be a bit of a whip around because of Open Cup and the other matches that are going to be played. Dylan Butler, if he can join us, meets us at 10. Bart Keeler comes back from his birthday trip, joining us at 10:30 for some reffing down here and talking about Julie Ertz and Megan Rapinoe. BN has Liga at 3, Turkish Super League at 1:30, Copa Sudamericana at 8:30. If you don't have BN, you can go to our friends at Fanatis, fntz.co/soccer down here. Get Fanatis, and you can be a part of what's going on with everything that we get to watch. It's BN, it's for the fans, it's CDO, it's Gold TV, TSA, all of that. One place at Fanatis, fntz.co/soccer down here. BN en Espanol has your simulcast. ESPN Deportes doubleheader in the Liga. Sevilla, Almeria at 1, Mallorca, Barca at 3:30. Fox Deportes has Serie B at 2:30. Venezia, Palermo. Universo has Liga MX Guadalajara, Mazatlan at 9 o'clock. ACC Extra, 3 matches on men's soccer. B1G's got soccer as well on B1G Plus. Gummy Bear Cup, 2:30 and 3 o'clock. Manchester United, Crystal Palace is your 3. DFB Pokal has Bayern Munich at 2:30. Also has the La Liga doubleheader, a bunch of men's soccer, a bunch of women's soccer. Flow FC has men's soccer starting at 5, college women at 1 o'clock. Fox Soccer Plus has Serie B at 12:15 and 2:30. Paramount Plus has Serie A, Juve Lecce at 2:45. Scottish League Cup, Kilmarnock and Hearts at 2:45. Nick, send us home.
Good Lord, that was a lot. All right. So until next time, everybody, make sure that you don't put your friends and family members in high places of responsibility unless you want that to come back and blast your name into oblivion. Don't do secret deals with agents and whatnot. Essentially, look, the magic advice here is someone is always watching. Someone is always watching. Someone will always find out. Someone always knows. If you think someone knows, they do. Okay? Just apply that anywhere in your life. Feel free. Until next time, everyone, mucho, mucho, euro, yo.
Be back here at 9:05 tomorrow morning. Thanks for hanging out. Play it safe, everybody.